All right, here we go. We have Entr Pryz in the building. How are you doing today, man?
Son, what's good, man? How you doing?
All right, man. You know, been getting onto your music lately. You know, like after seeing your performance like a couple years ago. Actually, like a couple years ago, when you opened up for Stalley, like at the Toronto show, man. Like, got me onto your music and everything like that. And you know, it's an interesting sound and style so far that gets like a bit of a New York remnants for a bit. You know?
I'm originally from New York, but I recently relocated to Toronto, so I've been doing some different things with music out here. And actually, one of my friends who was on tour with Stalley and Life Dutchee, we go back a long time. So when he was out here, he said they were gonna be performing, and he was like, "Did I want to come out to the show?" And I said, "Sure." And when I got there, I was like, "Okay, I'll open for y'all. I'll go on stage." So so that's the show you're speaking of, where you saw me, and it was a good experience. Stalley is really cool. He just put out a new project. Go check that. But man. So that's basically what happened, and that was 2019, and then 2020 everything was shut down. But we're about to start getting it going again.
Let's get it started for a bit. So you grew up in New York, right? Like in New York City, or like upstate?
So I grew up in Brooklyn, New York City, definitely. And it's crazy. It was a lot different than it is now. When I was younger, all the cell phones wasn't outside, so it was a little more dangerous. Now it's gentrified, so shout out to Brooklyn.
And which ends of Brooklyn you came from, and would you say that you had a good experience growing up, or would it be quite good?
I was from Bed-Stuy, so it was a great experience, especially if you're talking about music, because Jay-Z's from over there, Biggie Smalls is from over there. There's a lot of history, in that part of Brooklyn, and just all over Brooklyn in terms of like even with Bobby Shmurda and all of the newer artists. Pop Smoke was from Canarsie, so Brooklyn in general is great, but I'm from Bed-Stuy.
And even Brooklyn, like in that sense too, you have the Bobby Shmurdas, the Pop Smokes, like Biggie, Jay-Z, Busta Rhymes, everyone else. Would you say like Brooklyn was like the main place for music in New York at that time, in terms of just being like an industry end, or just like strictly as a community?
I would actually say that all of New York was, all of the city was involved in music and has been. There are artists from Brooklyn, but there are also artists from Queens, Harlem, that all put out music, the Bronx, and so I think just the city in general, definitely has a vibe. But I think it left for a while, but I think we're starting to find out our sound again, and I think it's coming back.
No. And what was your musical background and history like, and what made you decide on wanting to become like a rapper, singer-songwriter, and artist?
Okay, so I got into music basically playing the drums when I was younger, but that evolved into wanting to do music. So then I just started working in the studio with different friends. I started interning at Sony Studios in Manhattan, and then after that internship, I decided I wanted to make music, and I started writing, working with artists. I moved to California, was working out there for a minute, and then I decided to do my own project instead of working with other people. So I put out my first project, Sun, in straight out of nowhere in 2018.
True. And what artists or like genres are you like mainly like influenced by, and like in the future, which artists like would you like to work with someday?
Okay, so I mean, I'm open to work with everybody, and I would say I'm eclectic. So it's not really just one particular genre of hip hop or music that I'm into. I'm into the feeling. So if the energy is right and the feeling is there, then it's definitely gonna inspire some lyrics. So I'm open to work with all types of acts.
And creative process, like in making music, like do you have like a certain style that you usually like go with, or what types of like styles or like sounds that you mainly go by, like a niche?
Okay, so when creating, I would say it all starts with the feeling for me. When I hear a beat, you know, I have to feel it in some way. It has to resonate with me and strike a chord with some emotion. And then once I figure out that emotion, then I, you know, figure out what experiences I've been through that trigger that same emotion, and then that's where I kind of go to look for inspiration in my writing process.
And you know, it's never like in the question, but I just wanted to know like the formation of your name, like Entr Pryz, because like usually like the proper spelling for enterprise is like ENTERPRISE, but like in your name it's ENTRPRYZ. So tell me about like the meaning beyond your name and what inspired you to have that stage name like that.
Right, so it's two things actually. So one is, you know, a business enterprise, you know, big business, right? But the other thing is I was always influenced by Star Trek. So, you know, Star Trek Enterprise, that was the ship in the show, right? And so that's why a lot of my, you know, artwork and graphics take you out of space, right? Because I think music should take you out of space to a different vibe. So, you know, Enterprise as far as business and Enterprise as far as Star Trek. And then I just figured a cool way to spell it, you know. But yeah, so that's how I got the name.
You know, you already like spoke more about, you know, you touring with like Stalley, like in Toronto with Life Dutchee, telling you like, hey, you know, Stalley's gonna be in Toronto, would you like to perform and all that? And then also you performed as well, like at the show. So tell me more about that, and what was the impact like for you after like you opened up for like a legend like Stalley?
Right. So it was really good. The response was great. Anytime you could get on stage with people who have their feet entrenched in the industry is a really good thing. So it was a great experience for me, and I love the energy, you know, and also doing future shows, you know, like now that the world is starting to open up again, you know, post-COVID, like getting back on stage, connecting with the crowd and the fans, and yeah, inspiring people who never seen me before a day in their life to, oh, I connect with you. I like that music that you did, you know, like that's why I continue to do it. So it's just a great experience overall.
And I know you said that you and Life Dutchee like used to go way back, and you know, even like just being with Stalley, like in that moment, do you have like a musical and non-musical like relationship with the two? And
right.
Did they manage to give you like on any advice on how to be successful?
Right. So actually, Life Dutchee and me are really cool. We actually have a song together on my first project. It's called Catch a Vibe. So if you guys haven't heard it, definitely go check that out. Catch a Vibe, Enterprise featuring Life Dutchee. But I've always been around him in his creative process. He's been an inspiration to me. He motivates me a lot to, you know, continue to work on my music. But him and Stalley actually have a song called Used To that they did together, and I actually was there during that whole video shoot, you know, just you know, being around them, soaking up game and stuff like that. So shout out to Dutchee, man, because he's a inspiration of mine and a real good friend.
And I know that you said that, like, just like another question added, just I know that you said that you talked about like, Star Trek, like, you know, like the Enterprise, like either like the franchise, like, or like even like with the record label with Pharrell. So like either of the two. Do you feel like those two had like a certain influence on you, like in terms of like just the style and creation of your like sound and like creativity and all that?
Yeah, well, definitely. You know, I love anything outer space, anything astrological. I love it. Astronomy, I love it too. You know, so definitely with Star Trek. And in terms of Pharrell, yeah, I think with him and the Neptunes, their sound was different at the time. So I think just standing out and be something that stands out and stands apart from the norm is great. You know, to have your name in the same sentences as that, and especially if it's with the same idea of being yourself and standing out.
And you know, just speaking on your latest project that's about to come out like any soon, tell me about the creative process for the project and what inspired you to make it. And if you want to like give a shout on the name, just tell the fans more about it.
Right. So I'm working on a new project called Beyond the World of Opposites, right? And so it's a follow-up to my first album I put out in 2018, Sun, Straight Out of Nowhere. And with this project, it's actually sort of a coming of age for me because I lived a lot of things and lived a certain way, you know, prior, but I've been learning a lot about life, right? So it's like certain things that were true for me 5 years ago are not true today, right? I've changed my outlook and how I look at things, right? But that doesn't mean that the me I was 5 years ago isn't myself, and it also doesn't mean the me I am today isn't myself. So, you know, just getting beyond the world of opposite things and contradicting yourself, right? So two things can be true. So in this project, there are going to be a lot of songs where it sounds like, if he made this song, how can he make that song? You know, they seem to contradict themselves, but truthfully, they don't. It's all me, you know? So basically getting beyond the world of opposites.
And is there like an expected date on when the project will be released?
So hopefully fourth quarter this year, by the end of the year. If not that, then early 2022. But we already got half the songs of the project finished. So just tighten it up, maybe doing a couple more tracks, getting like a feature or two. Already began to start shooting videos for it. So it's definitely coming in hot the end of this year or early 2022.
And as far as like other projects like Sun and X-Love, tell me about the creative processes for both projects and what were like the inspirations that you had to make them.
Right. So Straight Out of Nowhere was my first project, right? And I was doing music for a couple of years, and I was working with a lot of other artists in terms of just writing. And so Straight Out of Nowhere was my first time working on my own project. I actually had all of the songs engineered, mixed, and mastered by Source, mixed by Source. Shout out to Source. He's an amazing engineer. He just won 2 Grammys for the Savage remix with Beyonce and Megan Thee Stallion. He does great work, and I just wanted to begin to make music that was true to myself. Things that I've lived through and also things I wanted to manifest. So, you know, I was like, I'm gonna get this project out. And I knew at the time I was doing it, I hadn't put out any projects before. And so I knew that people weren't expecting anything from me. So I was just like, straight out of nowhere. And I'm gonna just, you know, give it to people. So when they actually do come across it, they're like, wow, this is actually quality music. And then with X-Love, it was just a single that I wanted to put out for Valentine's Day. You know, again, I heard the beat and it took me to an emotion. It took me to real situation. And I just put that situation into the music, you know, and a lot of people like that song and definitely connect with that song. So that's how X-Love came about.
And, you know, just to end it off with our final question, what, aside from releasing your project, what are your plans for the rest of the year in terms of any other like creative projects or music or so forth? And do you have any like final words you would like to say for any creative or any like person pursuing their dreams?
Right. So I've been reading a lot, honestly, these past 2 years, especially since COVID, just reading a lot, trying to get smarter in different things, trying to expand my mind, my horizons, and also your revenue streams, right? So one thing I'll say for all of the artists out there is definitely have multiple revenue streams. Music is good, but music doesn't have to be your only hustle. You can do multiple things and still do music, still get the videos done and everything, and still find other ways to grow yourself and expand your portfolio and get to the bag, you know? So yeah, shout out to everybody. Shout out to Yashu for shooting this, you know? I appreciate this interview, and everybody stay safe. Son.
No doubt. Entr Pryz, thank you for coming by. You know, like in this kind of like noisy environment, but you know, we managed to make it worth it. But yeah,
we made it work, and we'll do another interview, right? And then we're gonna see the levels. We start here, and the next time you interview me, it's gonna be something totally different, right? Next level shit.
And hope to see you do well, like in your music and with everything else too. And until next time, man.
Right. So everybody just follow me on Instagram at ENTR_PRYZ Entr Pryz. The link is there for my first album, Sun, Straight Out of Nowhere. Check that out and stay on the lookout for my new album, Beyond the World of Opposites. So see y'all later.